What's up, friends? Welcome to another live episode of the Modern Lending Podcast. I'm your host, Alec Hansen. Today is going to be relevant. That's really my theme for today is relevant. And I'm excited to bring on a buddy that I've gotten to know more and more personally and professionally over the last almost 90 days. But it's also somebody that I've been in a relationship with, which he didn't even know about. And I'll talk about that in a second. This guy is an inspirational real estate professional. I don't know how else to say it. I watched this guy's career bloom from when he first came into the business and then to this kind of, rocket heights. I'm just really impressed with this character. And then I got a chance to work with him professionally, learned a lot about what's going on in his life, what makes him tick. Can't wait to share some stories and drive some positivity into your lives today. Hopefully a little inspiration and motivation. So without further ado, let me bring on the man, the myth, Keven Stirdivant. Let's go, Keven. What's going on, dude?
Do this. How are we?
So before we start, man, I got to share this with you and with everybody that's tuning in. First of all, we're live on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. So, Keven, you didn't know this, but I grew up in Orange County. I used to cut my teeth in Newport Beach, Costa Mesa, doing loans. I mean, I was 23 years old, fresh out of college, driving around in my Honda Civic to meet real estate agents. And I did that for years and years, building relationships with the agents, getting business. So I knew every agent, like in Newport Beach, like I know everybody. And they don't know me necessarily anymore, but I stalked everybody. I watched their careers grow. I knew who was producing, who wasn't producing. I just know the real estate community there. And all of a sudden, I see this new guy pop into the real estate world in Orange County. And I'm like, who is this Keven guy? And I've watched your social media for a while now, and then we have mutual friends in the business. And I've been like, wow, this guy is creative. This guy is inspirational. This guy is living it out loud. And then my wife and I are driving around, trying to find a house, trying to find a new place to move. You know, we've been in our old house for 15 years. And I see this sign out in front of this house that was kind of off the market, but coming back on. And it was your sign. Mm-hmm. And I called you up and I was like, dude, is this house still for sale? And you helped me get a dream house for us. And that was amazing. And then I got a chance to work with you professionally. And man, I'm just super impressed with what you bring to the market, what you bring, your energy, your style, your creativity. And today I just want to have a conversation around what makes you tick. Why do you do what you do? And in addition, for everyone that's kind of watching right now, a lot of my conversations kind of drive from putting the camera on to the mortgage professional, like having us get out from behind the real estate agent, in order to become more of a partner, a real partner in driving business and driving opportunity. And man, so you do a great job of that. You have a huge Instagram following. If you guys don't follow Keven on Instagram, you're blowing it. I mean, this is incredible. You just led a training of like 300 agents across the internets the other day. I saw it all over your feed. So give everybody a second. Like, who are you, dude? Like, why are you in real estate? What is going on here?
Well, let's see. I guess it started with my parents, right? I was born in Oakland, 1982. My dad was a crazy hustler. We moved around all over the place. He got in trouble when I was really young. So we went from like really having this kind of flashy life. You know, I was their only son until I was like, 5 or 6, and my sister was born. But they would throw these crazy parties and penthouse hotels, and I didn't know what the heck my dad did, but we went on lavish vacations. And then one day, my mom told me my dad was going to go away for a while. And we go from that experience of life to being on welfare, living with friends, living with family members. And in the early 90s, my mom got a job working for Mike Ferry. She went to a motivational seminar. We lived in East Los Angeles. And by luck, my mom meets this person at some random seminar, and this person gets her a job at Mike Ferry. Fast forward to the mid 90s, my dad gets out of prison, and I get sent from LA to Ohio to live with them for safety, we'll just call it.
Huh.
When I moved back from Ohio in 97, my mom completely was living a totally different life. Like I left and we were on welfare in the mid 90s. I come back in 97. She owned a home in Costa Mesa. She was driving a friggin' Land Rover. She was, I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And she showed me what she had been up to while me, my brother, and my sister were in Ohio. And she got exposed to the law of attraction. She got exposed to this new mindset of anything being possible, you know, where that's not how we grew up.
Yeah.
And anyways, I wasn't really that into all this stuff she was doing. I was like kind of in a rebellious stage. I was in 10th grade when I got back, and I was in an advanced after school program my junior year at Costa Mesa High School. And that program put me into fatherhood like that. So I was 17 and my firstborn son's mom was 16. I got the news that I was going to be a father. And I immediately dropped out of high school. I had been my mom's script partner for Mike Ferry for several years at this point. So she would say, okay, pretend you're a real estate agent.
Yes.
She would call me.
Yes.
So I knew the scripts and I knew the sales manager at Mike Ferry. And I went to him and I said, dude, I'm about to have a kid. I know these scripts. I know how to sell. What's up? Give me a job. And he gave me a job. And what would have been my senior year in high school, I started working full-time at Mike Ferry. I started earning 6 figures with a commission of about $50 to $100. And I think I made my first 6 figures before I was like 19 years old. And my son was like 1. And that launched my real estate career. I got up to about 20K a month working for Mike, learned a lot. And in 2003, I got into real estate. So that's how I got here.
Just, the normal path that people take to get.
The most mind-blowing thing about this whole story, so KASE KASE to me stands for family, right? When I'm selling a home, the reason why I have so much passion for it is because I didn't grow up with one. My mom did her best to create these different homes that we were living in to feel like home. So although it was rough the way I grew up, I know what home means, right? And it's like the adversity that I went through growing up is where my soul is when I'm trying to help somebody else buy a home.
Yep.
Or sell their home. And so, yeah, the craziest thing about it with KASE is an acronym for my 4 kids. Kaizen, my second son, my daughter Azella, my middle daughter 7, and my firstborn son Eli. So Kaizen, Azella, 7, and Eli. And Eli, who's now 20, is
that's crazy, dude.
it. He just got a $4.2 million listing last week. We just did a deal together in Eastside for 1.9. We're working on another listing today. I mean, he got licensed shutdown week.
Dude.
March 17th of this year, he got licensed and he's on his 7th or 8th transaction.
So let me ask you this. When did you decide to open your own brokerage, real estate brokerage? I mean, how did that come about? Because you could have just plugged in and worked somewhere else and done real estate.
Yeah, so I've been in and out of real estate, right, since the early 2000s. I left in 2007 and 2008 to try to start like Tony Robbins for the youth. I've always had a passion to help people, and I've always had a passion to especially impact the youth, people who grew up with situations like mine. So I left in 2007 to try to take everything that I had learned. We're talking now almost a decade that I have dedicated my life to mindset. I did the firewalk with Tony Robbins when I was like 17.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, man, if I could take all this and teach it to the youth. I didn't like real estate in 2007. I was working the San Gabriel Valley. My average sales price was like $350. I was making money, but I did not like who I was. And so I left. When I got back in 2009, it was like the middle of hell, right? More than 50% of everything was distressed, short sales, foreclosure. It was a freaking nightmare. But I had just had my second son, and I was doing what I needed to do to make money. And I didn't like the business. And the turning point was on Memorial Day 2011, my best friend died. And I went into a very deep, dark hole for 6 months. I didn't sell any real estate from May 2011 to December. And then my dad passed away in January 2012. And my dad and I have the same name. I maybe made $50,000 in 2011. I don't think I even had $1,000 to my name when my dad passed away in 2012. And I'm at his funeral, and I'm looking at funeral papers that have my name on them because we have the same name.
Yeah. And
I have 3 kids at this point. My daughter, Azella, was 4 months old, 3 months old when my dad passed. Yeah. Kaizen is like, 3 or 4. Eli is 8. And I'm like, I don't have shit. I don't have anything for these guys.
Yeah.
I want to create something. I want to build something that I'm proud of. And I went to my mentor and I told him I was going to leave real estate again, because if I'm broke anyways, I might as well be doing what I love. And he said, why do you keep separating your life coach and real estate guy? What makes you think you can't combine those things together? And through that conversation with my coach, Thatch, and just digging deep, KASE was born, like January 2012. That's really when I started to develop the vision for KASE. And I was looking for a company that would let me do my thing.
It's hard.
And was like a reputable brand. And Keller Williams was who I found.
Yep.
And so I worked under their brand, building KASE, for about 6-7 years, until we started to have some breakdowns with that operation locally. It's an amazing brand.
Yeah.
But locally there were some issues. And so we decided to take the steps to become an independent brokerage. And we officially became an independent brokerage 1 year ago, November 2019. And
you just opened your first location.
Yeah, we opened our flagship location here, Newport Boulevard. I mean, it's
congrats. It's amazing.
It's surreal.
So let me, with all that background, let's frame this up for everybody. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do this year? What's your production look like this year?
So I stepped away from the business side of it's tough, right? Like I've gotten caught up with trying to like be a restaurant owner in real estate, and it's just not my thing. I'm a chef, right? And so I realized that 2 years ago. And for 5 years, 2015, 16, 17, 18, so 4 years, I did the same business, 47 mil to 53 mil. And last year, I'm like, I gotta break the 60. 2019, I hit 60 mil, like on the dot, closed. And when I went into 2020, I had a very clear goal. I want to close 100 million in personal volume after splits.
It's a big jump from 60, dude.
Realtors love to say, oh, I did 300 million bucks. Well, okay. Well, like 50% of those deals are with other people and whatever. I'm not going to call anybody out, but I wanted to have a true, sincere 100 mil in closed volume. So if I took a 3 mil deal and it's co-listed, I give myself 1.5 credit. So right now, year to date, I'm at 107 mil true closed in personal volume and 18 or so mil pending, which it's friggin' mind blowing to me, because I thought in April that I was going to have to stop construction here. I thought I was going to have to sell my house. I thought I was going to have to move somewhere else. Yeah, and it's mind blowing.
Congrats, dude.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
My friend Megan, who is our transaction Jedi, you know her, she was with us through our deal.
Best.
You know, that she's a major reason why I was able to stay focused on what I'm good at, which is simply prospecting, closing, negotiating, creative content.
Well, so let's go to content. You know, this is hearing this, and there's a lot of professionals, even in great mortgage people too, that have great numbers. They stack really well on a leaderboard, but they're invisible in the social sphere. They're invisible in these platforms where humans are. When did you get super serious about a content strategy? I know it's evolved. I'd like to hear about that from like when you got in and then what did it turn into, but what was your process?
2012.
Okay.
2012. So I've always been into filming. Like I've always had little cameras and stuff. I've always made little videos. Like remember the flip cam?
Hell yeah.
Dude, I was all about the flip cam. So my grandpa, his famous quote is, "A life worth living is a life worth recording."
Okay.
And,
I like that.
My grandpa has kept it. He passed away, but he's kept a journal since he was 13 years old in 1936, all the way up until the year he passed, writing and recording every day. So what shifted for me was in 2012. I think the year before that, I had 4 or 5 friends buy real estate without me. I had 5 family members buy real estate without me. And people didn't know what the hell I did because I always called myself a life coach. So like people didn't know, are you a life coach? I spent about a decade of my life hanging out with my best friend's company, LRG Clothing. My email was an LRG email. And people thought I worked at LRG. People knew I was this motivational dude. Oh, I also sold real estate, but it wasn't clear. And in 2012, I was looking for a platform that I can jam in people's minds. I do real estate.
Dude, okay. This is the greatest realization. And I want everyone to hear it. Like, I want to put a stamp on it because it's the same thing in mortgage. I got mortgage pros all day long whose friends are getting deals done somewhere else. And I'm like, why didn't they go with you?
Right.
And the fact that you're sitting here going, I got to shove it in their face for them to get it because clearly it's not working is so accurate.
Yeah. And I saw the impact pretty quickly. So like, you know, my dad passes mid-January 2012. I'm freaking broke as a joke. And I write out this vision for my dream company. And I have nothing at this point. I have no rep. I've sold $1 million home in my entire career. And that was 3 years prior in 2009. And that was a buyer deal. I had no name anywhere.
Nope.
And my mentor, Thatch, starts walking me through this. So what does your dream company look like?
Yep.
I'm like, man, I want to focus on modern architecture and mid-century architecture. I said, I want to be the go-to in my sphere of influence, which is skateboarding and streetwear, right? So what's my product look like, first of all? I'm like, I want to freaking sell the homes that are in dream homes. I'm sick of just looking at these homes. I want to do this. So it was like modern, mid-century modern, and high-end luxury. I knew I wanted that. But on top of that, I wanted to do that within my sphere. I wanted to do that with like the cool crowd. I also wanted there to be a layer of personal development. I wanted to be able to bring that to my business. And I wanted to also just be able to be myself.
Yes.
I was sick of wearing, you know, what I was wearing, cheap suit and freaking just, oh God, when I think about what I used to wear, and nothing against, look, you can wear a suit. Sometimes I do wear a suit and it looks great, but that's not the type of suit I was wearing. I was putting on this crappy suit just because I thought I had to wear the damn suit.
Yes.
You can wear casual and look like shit too. So
yes, of course.
I just did not want to be like that.
Yes.
2 weeks after I wrote out this vision, man, I remember my buddy, Tim Kruger. If you could go look at the link in my bio, actually, Tim and I were doing real estate together at this time. And he's been going through we've got a GoFundMe for him. He's been in and out of the hospital. Tim and I, in January 2012, made a bet over who could sell a $2 million home first.
Yeah.
This was like a surreal thought at this point.
Yes, massive number.
And about 2 weeks after I wrote out this vision, I get a call from my friend. He owns a company called Diamond Supply Co. His name's Nick Diamond. And he says, Kev, man, 2011 was a crazy year for us. I want to buy a house that's modern, like maybe mid-century, and I can go up to like 1.5. Damn, because he fits the description of what I wrote down. Yeah. He wanted the type of product. He just wasn't at 2. We start looking at homes. 3 days into looking at homes, he's like, dude, you're not going to believe this. My accountant says I could go up to 2.5. And I do my first deal in February 2012, 2.5 million. He had 10,000 followers at this point. He has like over 1 million or something now. And he posts me in the house and just says, thanks at Kevion. And next thing you know, my Instagram just starts going off. So very early in 2012, I realized the value of this tool, social media and Instagram. And I've just been pounding at it ever since. I mean, I don't know how many posts I've done, but I've done a lot.
Well, I'm looking at it right now. You're almost at 3,500 posts.
Yeah.
You have 40,000.2 followers. And you can see the work you put into it. I mean, if anybody looks at your Instagram, they can see that there's effort here.
Yeah.
You know, you're not just mailing it in, you're sharing. And so when that light bulb hit and you're like, I've got to be in this platform, I got to play. How's the strategy evolved? Right. So like, what did you start doing and what are you doing now and what works? Because there's a lot of people actually who have a hard time with Instagram.
Right.
So what would you share your learnings on that platform to be?
So the first and foremost, right, is that you got to remember it's a visual tool.
Yes.
When you put things out on your Instagram, it looks like a flyer and you have to zoom in to read it. And there's all this data that doesn't do well. No. Because it started as a visual tool. Instagram, if you scroll all the way back to 2012 when I started using it, it was just cool because everybody got to be a photographer.
Yeah.
Like you take a photo of your shoe, you throw some,
you're like,
whoa. And that's how it started. So I think a lot of people have gotten it twisted and they're trying to do too much business on Instagram. Like I've always been about sharing myself, my personal life, my sobriety, my marriage, my family. And yes, I would say for the first 5 years, it was probably 50-50 between family and skateboarding and hip hop and real estate.
Yes.
And now it's like 95-10, right? It's like 95% about my business. I have a private page where I put real estate stuff, family stuff on. But I would say step one is remember that it's a visual experience for people. So you got to be able to provide things that look good.
Yes.
That's number one. Number two is figure out what is your intention with your social. Like, what do you want to do here? What's the energy? My energy is education, inspiration, love, laughter. I want to try to make people laugh as much as I can. And just keeping it super real, like sharing whatever I feel like sharing. I've had to create an agreement with my company that I'm not allowed to talk any shit on Instagram because I've gotten into situations with people and I just share everything on social. Yeah. And, that's a
learning, that's a life lesson. But
so
I want to highlight this though, because sometimes people use or think they need the platform to, I want to say market, but to like, and you just kind of layered in a lot of language that showcase that it's more, I want to label it contemporary marketing, but what it really is you're just showcasing your life, the properties, what you're excited about. Yeah. You're not sitting here going, I'm in this house and it's a 2-bedroom and it's beautiful and look at this. You show it differently.
Yeah.
And I think that adds depth to it and it adds authenticity to it. And I think people need to learn that because I think I see so many agents and mortgage people using it and it's not authentic. It's boring. It's like they're doing an infomercial.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah. Keep it real. I mean, there's some funny pages out there, man. I mean, there just a couple things off the top of my head that I really loved when it comes to authenticity. There's an agent who I've been watching, and he's doing great. And I always mess with them that I want him to come over here and join KASE. I don't recruit at all. 99.9% of anybody who's come through KASE's doors approached us. So we don't call other brokers. We don't try to recruit anybody. But this dude, I just see him doing some things really well. I see him out there working. His name's Blake Nelly. Shout out to my dude, Blake. And what I saw him do was really rad. This was like maybe a year ago or something. And he told this story about how he was selling their car to pay the rent. He has a baby. He was married. And it wasn't like this sob story. He was just like, hey, guys, I just wanted to share this with you to anybody that's going through some stuff. This is what I'm doing right now. I'm selling this, this beater that they had to pay the rent. And he's like, I'm not asking for help. This is just a message to encourage you because I know I'm getting through this. Anyways, I saw him a few weeks ago and he's pushing this new Benz. I'm like, that's cool. He's dope. Shout out to Blake.
So Keven, let me ask you this. You've had things in your life that have been difficult and you've figured out, when did your story become something that you were more open to share about? And here's what I'm framing up here, just where I'm going with this. I think a lot of times people are embarrassed by their story.
Yeah.
And so they want to wrap themselves in that new suit or that nice outfit, and they want to pose with the Lamborghini or whatever it is. They want to that wasn't me. That was some other loser. When did your story become empowering to you? Share a little bit about that, because you're so open about it, about the hardships you've come through.
I mean, it definitely started in 2012 because there was two people, right? For a decade, my first decade in real estate, there was Keven Stirdivant, and then there was Kevion. Kevion is a nickname. My best friend Jonas, who passed away, he invented that nickname in like the late 90s. And so all my real friends know me as Kevion. When people call me Kevion and they don't know that's not my real name. I personally love that because it makes me think about Jonas. And so, there was just two people. There was Keven Stirdivant, real estate guy, who only says the Mike Ferry scripts. And then there was me, myself, who I love people. I love connecting with people. I love making a difference for people. I love encouraging people. I love skateboarding and streetwear and hip hop, and so when my dad passed and I started to build my personal brand, I wanted it to be authentic, but it shifted even more when I started working on my sobriety and I started to be open about my sobriety because that was something, my challenges with drugs and alcohol, that was hidden. Right. Yep. And so when I finally broke through that, it started in 2013. It took me 3 years to get totally sober. But after that, I'm like, I'm an open book, man. I'm an open book.
So it's funny to watch the breakthrough and hear you talk about it, because I'm a firm believer that the stories of our past, our backgrounds are what make us powerful. Yeah. And you absolutely are on display with that, and it's awesome to see just the path you've been on, the breakthroughs. And life's not over, right? Like you got a lot of stuff to still do. And it's not like it's done. Like, hey, it's done.
No way, man. We're not even close. I feel like this year was year one. I told my coach, Angie Wisdom, I told Angie, I'm like, I feel like this is 7th grade.
Yes.
I don't feel like I'm even in high school yet. I still think this is 7th, 8th grade. Yeah.
So let me ask you this now. Let me do a little bit of a pivot here.
Yeah.
We were rapping about this a tiny bit before we went live. Let's talk about the relationship with mortgage people and real estate people.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, it's a dynamic world. And I was joking before that, I've built my entire career in the glory days just going to meet great agents like you and showing up open houses and being like, hi, Keven. And like, I'm out. And just my first step was, my goal was when I walk into an open house that you would know my name. Like that was like, I've made it. Like I walked in. So how do you see relationships with lenders and especially people you work with or in general real estate lend? How do you view it today? What's the relationship look like?
You said it. It's relationship. Relationship. I don't have a relationship with lenders. I have with new lenders. I have a relationship with 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
So what we were talking about is like, a lender could call me and say, Kev, I have this secret magic thing that's going to get anybody approved at 1% and blah, 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 blah. And it's and I'm like, okay, cool. I got to call my buddy Alec. I got to call my buddy Ryan Papero. I got to call my buddy Ryan Gill. I got to call Johnny Farrell instead, right? Like I have literally 5 at the most lenders that I know, right?
Yeah.
And I would like, and I know you, and that's all there is to it. Like everybody's different, but for me personally, if I don't know you, I don't care what you have. I don't care what, and guess what? I lose business all the time, even though I'm not going to say my records and my stats in Eastside and Dover and blah, blah, blah. They're out there. I lose to agents who work part-time at Applebee's, just as an example. I don't know if Applebee's is still open, but I lose to people that I do 10 times more business than.
Yep.
Why? Because they have been in a relationship with that person and providing more value to that person than me. And that's just how it is. And I just lost a deal. It's funny, when I go on an appointment in a lower priced area, I end up losing the deals because I hang out in a higher priced area. And I just lost a deal on a lower $1 million home. And when I asked the guy, I said, so I'm curious, like I have an insane amount of records in the city of Costa Mesa. This particular neighborhood, I don't work that often. And I just said, I'm curious, why did you choose so-and-so? And he just says, man, the dude's just been knocking on my door for 2 years. And I'm like, well, shout out to that guy. That guy deserves it. And that dude is Alan Malkin, has been working my neighborhood. So great job, Alan.
Yeah, he put the effort in, man.
He deserves it. He's been providing more value in the neighborhood that I live in than me. It's a great job.
So let me ask you this, from a relationship perspective, or in this context, what level does a social media, a digital relationship, how does that to a face-to-face physical relationship, where are those blending, or how would you describe those, the value of those?
I think it's huge, right? I think if somebody is creating some kind of value on social, that's a start, right? Yep. Perfect example. I maybe have met Dan Blackwell in person maybe once, but I follow Dan Blackwell because he is a commercial units. He sells 20 units, 30 units. And I like following him. He puts some of his personal life out there, but I like the way he shares these units. And that's one of my goals. I want to buy units like that. And so I follow Dan because he's constantly putting this stuff out there. So I think it's crucial, but I don't think it's everything. The 2 people that I actually work with in lending the most, they don't have actually a huge presence on social.
Yep.
One of the dudes, he's like not even on social at all. So don't get it twisted. Social media relationship is nowhere close to more important than real relationship. It's important, but it's not the cake. It's the icing. The cake is the real relationship. My title guy, I use Chris Jones because that's my boy. I have no idea if he's the best at what he does. I think he's the best at what he does because he's my friend, and I'm going to say that. If some other guy is like, hey man, I could do X, Y, and Z, I'd be like, well, I don't know. Unless you work with Chris, it's gonna be very difficult to get our business. And how did Chris beat out the person that we had before?
Yep.
All I know is that it started at a polo race match or something. It was a horse race situation, and we started hanging out. And I'm like, oh, next thing you know, he gets like, I don't know, KASE as a company, we're going to do close to 300 million this year.
Oof.
And I think on the seller side, where we get to choose, we're probably about 220 million. Chris gets 95% of that.
Yep.
Because we hung out at the racehorse, the horse races like 3 years ago.
See, I love your point, and I want to echo it. I believe almost the same thing. Social is a window. I get to look at your social media, Keven, and I get a window into your life.
Yeah.
But it's also the window you're choosing to show me.
Yeah.
You could be a raging asshole.
Yeah.
And your window looks beautiful. And I'm like, man, Kevin's amazing. And then I work with you and I'm like, hey, this guy is terrible.
Yeah.
So, but that window is still very valuable. It gives people a chance to, as much as you can crack it open, as long as you're not faking it, it gives them a chance, like you said, to get to know people, to get to know their, what they're doing and their personalities. And then, but it doesn't replace the reality of a real relationship.
Mm-mm. No, man, not at all. You don't really know somebody until you meet them in person, in my opinion.
Yep.
They might put out a certain persona on social, and then you meet them in person, whether maybe they're a jerk on social, and you meet them in person and like, this guy's not a jerk, or vice versa.
Yep. I mean, I believe social media, if used correctly, gives you an opportunity, a seat at the table. Yeah. But it doesn't just guarantee you success. Yeah. It doesn't mean you're automatically going to kill it in whatever business you're in. No. But it can get you closer to the batter's box, so to speak.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, what advice would you have for somebody thinking about how to get into social? Should they use it? And I'll say this way too. A lot of people think that social media isn't for them.
Right.
It may or may not be true. What's your take on any of that stuff?
Man, you know what? Like, there's like LinkedIn would probably be great for me to use. I know people who get business on LinkedIn. I think I have something on there, but I don't use it. If you don't vibe with it, you don't vibe with it. And it's no big deal. I mean, the bottom line is if you're trying really hard to do something, it's probably not going to work for you. Right? So try it. Give it a shot. Like, see what happens. Keep it real on your social. There's this dude out on the East Coast that is the realest of real estate agents on earth. There is nobody that is authentic as this dude. He literally goes by Team Show Enough. He films videos where he cashes his checks and he's like making it rain. He wears like gold grills and puts the gold grills on his BMW. Like, it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. And that's him, right?
Yeah.
There's other people. There's a gal named Renee Pina who, she used to be on my team. She's an amazing agent. And she brands herself as the pet-friendly realtor. She loves pets. She loves dogs. She goes out walking dogs. That's what she posts about. That's her thing. There's a couple dudes on my team. I call them Team Camp because they love to go camping. Yes, put out your personal interests on your social.
Agree.
Be very clear though. Like, when I was doing too much motivational stuff, I noticed a dip in my business. And people were like, hey, this was 2018. Hey, you're still doing real estate, right? That didn't work. So remember, you get back what you put out, right? If all you're putting out is your lunch and your dinners, and you're going to have some friends following you, but you have to look like, what's your goal?
Yeah.
I wanted to create an impactful and an inspiring platform.
Yeah.
I wanted to provide value in a way that was authentic to me. So I would just say, if it doesn't vibe for you, then don't do it. Find something that does.
Yep.
Give it a shot at least, and keep it authentic. Keep it as real as you possibly can. And remember that it's a visual tool. Don't put out all this data on this little square. Nobody's reading that.
So Kevin, last question, and we'll get out of here. This is what I want to land on. COVID's been hard for many people.
Yeah.
And in real estate and in mortgage finance, it's been a silver lining and a major blessing for a lot of us. So for people that are dealing with hardships right now, what encouragement would you give them looking into 2021 as we're here on the end of December? What would you say to them?
I would like to encourage people to remember that the hardships that we go through, the adversity, that's one of the best quotes of all time, right? Behind every adversity carries with it the seed of an equivalent or greater success. You have to know that, yes, it's great to not be in any breakdown. It's great to not go through any struggle. But the reality is, if you're going through a struggle, if you're going through hardship, that's because you know that your life is destined for something else. You know that there's something more for you, and you're feeling that resistance. And I promise you, what you're experiencing in that resistance is you're experiencing strength. You're experiencing growth. The hardship we go through is what makes us better human beings. When you get squeezed, what comes out of you is what's within. So as you go through these challenges, remember, this is making you a better person. And what I want to encourage you guys to go through is to not let your failures, your situation become who you are, right? Because it's not what happens to us. It's how we react to what happens to us that makes us a better person. So our job is to think about, what do we really want? What's my goal? What's my purpose? What I focus on expands. So forget all this crap going on right here. Let me take a little break from that and let me think about, well, what do I really want? And as you hang out with the vibration of what you want, practice feeling that, right? I want to read you guys a quote. This is one of my favorite quotes of all time. Let me look it up. I love this right here. Man, this is huge. I should have this printed out already, but check this one out.
Ready.
So he said, everything is energy, and that is all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. So I have to read that one more time. Everything is energy. Everything is energy. When you're on Mojo, when you're talking to people, when you're watching the news, that is an energy. Everything is energy. Now, this is the most important part. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get it. You cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. Now, that is good or bad. Whatever we are listening to, watching, is information, right? When you break down information, it's information. What we listen to, what we read, who we talk to becomes who we are. And who we are becomes a magnet to what we want, or many times what we don't want. Einstein said that. I think he knew a couple things about energy. So our goal, you guys, is to visualize, meditate, think about what you want, and give yourself the opportunity to feel that energy right now. I don't come from anything that, you know what? I take that statement back. I was going to say, I don't come from anything that would allow me to have what I have now, my dream business in a luxury neighborhood, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is I do. Like, I do come from that. I flipped it. I decided to take my challenges, my drug challenges that I've gone through, my relationship challenges, my growing up and visiting my dad in prison. I decided to take all of that and use that as a tool. Yeah. So whatever you're going through, use that as a tool to make you a better human being and just watch what happens.
Brother, thank you for that, dude. Thank you for that. Thanks for hanging out with me today.
Come on,
Keven,
dude.
you're the man.
Some good work. Let's help each other. We all got to help each other out right now.
No doubt. No doubt. My friends, please, if you're looking for that energy, Kevin's putting it out all the time on his social media. Find him on Instagram, Kevion on Instagram. Kevion. I love it, dude. I love the backstory. God bless you, man. I hope you have a great rest of your day, dude. For everyone else listening today, we'll see you guys on the next go around on the Modern Lending Podcast.
Peace.